Welcome to Babel's Park, an autobiographical dystopia of a brainless cyber whore. You're listening to Chapter 2, No Time to Kill.
Please fasten your park watch on your wrist for the course now,
said host Victoria, the cyborg presenter with a flashing smile, who reminded me of the eponymous Spanish actress of the same name from my childhood. There were close to 200 people of all ages sitting in the videotorium watching the closing credits of Babel's Park, the opening on a giant screen. We were on the historic site of the once famous Babelsberg Film Studios, which facilitated the legendary careers of Marlene Dietrich, Ernst Lubitsch, and Billy Wilder. David played with the shiny keypad on his watch, checking the effects on the display. Victoria pushed her way through the rows to help confused visitors. She wore a spacey Barbarella overall, retro fashion from the 60s. Some male guests behaved particularly stupid to enjoy her proximity. Poor guys, they stared at her body, clueless about what would happen to them next. After all, they used to have to fly to Thailand. Now they just have to slip out of their suits into something more comfortable, a cyber suit. Victoria continued.
Now that everyone has settled in with their wristwatches, I'd like you to set the order of your park tour. Just click on the pictograms of the events you'd like to book in the order you'd like.
The choices were a hunting trip to Wandlitz with a guide christened Eric, negotiating export licenses with a fellow named Schalk, or an exchange on the Glenick Bridge for a spy who came in from the cold. I glanced at David's display, who unfortunately had just opted for slot machines.
I would like to remind you that events marked with an asterisk require strong nerves and your majority. Now enter your name and date of birth and please answer some questions that appear on the display.
Park visitors electronically assured that they participated in everything voluntarily and would not hold anyone liable. What I didn't know at the time was that the wristwatch was also a device for measuring heart rate, skin resistance, and blood pressure readings, which explained the occasional tightening of the wristband. This revealed, for example, David's blood pressure spiked the moment the data suits were introduced for cybersex by trained blonde bunnies, an event he hadn't booked, but those wired cuties tried to convince him anyway. In order to reduce the fear of contact, especially among older park visitors, they were encouraged to visit gastronomic establishments familiar from the last century, such as a supernet cafe or a game show.
I see everyone has completed the booking process by now. If you still have questions, please check our constantly updated database by pressing the FAQ button on your wristwatch, or ask one of our cooperative cyborgs who are available throughout the park area. Your watch contains a navigation system that will guide you to the attractions you have booked. Please follow the arrows on your display to avoid getting lost. The doors are opened without contact via an RFID chip that uses radio frequency identification. May the doors of your perception be opened as well. Enjoy!
With a quote from Aldous Huxley and the usual cultural imperative, she ended her performance and sailed for the exit with a smile. Something in her eyes drew me in. I followed her and touched her arm. Her eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. Apparently her software was having trouble finding a matching file on her solid-state drive. I liked her body. The previous 3D holograms I knew from my nursery were low-tech junk from the Stone Age of computing and but ugly in comparison, while Victoria was made of real flesh, full of warm electronics under her soft skin.
You listen to the second chapter of Babel's Park. In the next chapter, Rods and Cones, you will meet Bob, Dr. Marks, Jack and Mr. Tanaka. Listen to the ad-free version on Apple Podcasts now. To learn more about Babel's Park, visit Dr. Kalasana's website fuckup.coach. And to let us know what you think of this series, We look forward to your review on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you.